Hey guys, welcome to my channel, The Transparent Homeschool. My name is Beth, and I have the distinct pleasure of homeschooling my two kiddos. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and our baby, if you have been tracking with us, she will be 1 year next week. It's crazy. 1 year next week. I also just want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to come and hang out with me and watch my video. Now, I do want to kind of send out a special welcome to what we call now the accidental homeschoolers. Those people who are, for lack of a better word, forced to stay home and teach their kids. But if you have been around my channel for a while, welcome back. And again, thank you for spending your time with me today. So this video is just kind of going to be me talking about how we are homeschooling during the quarantine. This is kind of like the middle of week 2-ish. And where we live, we have not gotten an actual like stay in order. We still have a very low count in our county. I am thankful for that, and so I just want to kind of let you guys know how we're doing, what we're doing, how I'm feeling, and all of those things. So to start off with, really, we haven't really changed anything. Our homeschool wasn't really that affected, besides the fact that our co-op was canceled, and like the spring sports that were supposed to start in the beginning of March have now been postponed till later in April, and that's okay. But that's kind of really the only way we've been affected. So I guess really for me to sit here and talk about like just how terrible all of this is doesn't really apply to me, because we have been very blessed thus far to kind of have our normal routine going still kind of normal. I do want to say I am very, very sorry for everyone out there who has to face these tough decisions about their jobs and the schools getting postponed later and later. How you and your family have to kind of navigate those waters. I'm really sorry that you guys have to do that. That's it's got to be tough. And so I'm not sitting here preaching to you. I really do truly feel for you guys, and I'm praying for you. And if we just stick together, hopefully we can make this time as accidental homeschoolers, real homeschoolers, whatever it is, the time home with our kids, we can make this as painless as possible. Now, to say painless as possible, I do want to mention all of the regular homeschoolers know what I'm talking about, but the accidental homeschoolers, everything that you're feeling is absolutely normal. And I say that because, you know, homeschooling is hard. It's really hard. And I think that the general public now is getting just a little glimpse of how hard it is to be home with your kids all day and to take their education into your own hands, and to teach them. It's hard because they're a person and you're a person, and they have a learning style and you have a teaching style. And when, you know, you've never had to be in a situation before, and so you're just constantly clashing, and there's battle of wills, and there's all this going on, and that's normal. And I still experience it. Granted, I am in my 2nd year of homeschooling, so I don't have this, you know, huge homeschooling record behind me, but I do know that every day I have to look at homeschooling as one human trying to teach another human. We have to look at our kids as individual people with individual learning styles and love languages and all of that mumbo jumbo. We have to realize that they are individuals, and so they're not going to learn the way that we want to teach, or they're not going to pick up things as fast as we want to, you know, throw it on them. And that kind of takes some really intent focus on kind of how we navigate these waters of teaching our kids and being home with our kids all day long, and, you know, not trying to just like tie them up and put them somewhere where they're not going to bother us. And I say that in complete 100% humor, because obviously We don't do that. I don't do that. That's not what homeschooling is about. But as a parent, you come off sometimes with these super high emotions of frustration, and you lose your patience really fast. And I've been there. I know what it's like. So just keep in there, hang in there. Things will get better. Just give them grace, give yourself grace. Everybody's routine has been kind of upheaved and just thrown out the window, and you guys kind of have to make your new schedule work for your family. Now, I do want to kind of put a little caveat here. Before all of this, before the social distancing, the quarantine, everything, I think there was kind of this, I don't want to say necessarily a stereotype, but kind of this unspoken belief of what homeschooling was like. And I feel like, and I don't want to make light of this, but I kind of have to be thankful for this, this time where the general public has to social distance themselves and stay home with their kids, because it does kind of open the eyes of the public to see just how hard homeschoolers really do have to work. We don't sit around and let our kids do coloring pages all day long and sit there, you know, popping some Lindor chocolates in our mouths, or, you know, staying in bed till 10 o'clock while, you know, our kids do whatever they want. There is a very hard line between what that perception is and kind of what reality is, because as homeschoolers, we don't want to be perceived that way. You know, we are proud of our choices. We're proud of the work that we do, but that's also, you know, a problem when pride comes in and everything like that. But I do kind of want to just put out there that I hope that this entire cultural experience does kind of throw some respect towards the homeschool community, because we do work hard and we do take this as our job, we take this as our mission and our calling from the Lord. And that is something that, like any calling, has its ups, it has its downs, it has its frustrations and challenges. But that's just something that we chose to do, and I feel that it kind of will give us a little bit of like I don't know, I don't want to say pat on the back, because that's not what it's at. That's not what the goal of homeschooling is. But I think everyone's going to kind of gain this general appreciation for people who choose to homeschool their kids, because it's really hard. Some days it sucks. Some days it's super awesome. But all of those together, they make up homeschooling. And so, kind of long story short, I just hope that this increases appreciation for our homeschool community, and a lot more support is going to be thrown their way after this. Kind of going into that, though, I do want to say that this experience for the accidental homeschooler, as they're being called now, is not the typical homeschool experience. It can be, but I find the more that I kind of get involved in different groups and co-ops and talk to people and go to conferences and things like that, that one of the best things about homeschooling is your freedom to do things and experience like extracurricular activities, and the limitations that we're having put on us right now. It does make people who are coming into this, like as a direct result of it, assume that this is how homeschooling is. It's not. I have to leave my house about every other day, if not every day. We go to the library, we go to the park, we go on walks, we go to the grocery store, we just go to stores and walk around. Sometimes we go on trips to big cities that are near us and go to museums there, or we go to botanical gardens or things like that, zoos, aquariums, things like that. And that's kind of what makes homeschooling that much more enriched, is when you can pull in those real life experiences and tie it into your studies. But I'm finding now that it's really difficult to do that, because you can't go anywhere because everywhere is closed. And I do want to just say one thing. I went out with my kids yesterday morning to the grocery store, and I was getting such dirty looks, and I was like, listen, what do you want me to do? I have these kids. I have to go out. But like, I don't know, that is neither here nor there. Anyway, okay, so that's not typical homeschooling. Staying home all day, every day for like 2 weeks is not and I'm just speaking from my experience. Other people may have different experiences, but that's not my typical homeschool routine. We get our schoolwork done, and then we have the majority of the afternoon to go and do what we want, or we flip-flop that and we go do what we want in the morning, and then we do homeschool at night, or like when we get back in the afternoon, evening, sometime like that. And so like this whole thing has kind of just limited my freedom and our freedom and everyone else's freedom to go and do those things and go to those social gatherings. And so it's not a 100% accurate picture of what homeschooling is as like a whole picture, because there is that whole social issue that's kind of taken out. That component is taken out from this experience from the general public. We do have, again, church, co-op, sports, park dates, play dates, those kinds of things that we can't do right now that do make up a big part of our social component. And so people who are coming into this accidental homeschooling will be like, oh, this is awful. Like, I can totally see why they don't get socialized. This is not the norm. This is not the norm. So don't kind of think that this is how it goes. But the last couple things I want to say is, again, homeschooling's hard, and give yourself some grace. As homeschooling parents, that's the biggest thing that we have to do, is we have to give ourselves grace, because there is an expectation, and we place it on ourselves to be the best teacher, to have all of these amazing lesson plans, to have this great schoolroom, to have all of this, all of that, have our kids know their sight words by the end of the year, read on grade level by the end of the year, memorize their math facts, and do, addition in their head mentally, and do subtraction, and all this stuff we put on ourselves. And it's not normal because we stress ourselves out, and then that kind of comes out and stresses our kids out. And that, I feel, is not good, because then it puts the tension and the stress there. So, and I'm still learning this. So again, I'm not preaching to you guys. I'm kind of just sharing, again, like transparently my journey to you. Hopefully this will help you in the coming weeks until your kids go back to school and you can breathe again. But just give yourself grace and know that every day you're doing your best, and that's really all that anybody can ask of you. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing, what anyone else says, what their kids are learning, what blah, 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 blah. I want everybody to look at this time as just, a learning curve for everybody. And so don't compare yourself to anybody else. That's one thing that I've learned as a homeschooler last year and this year, is like, you can't compare yourself to anybody, because everyone's different. Everyone, has different family schedules and things like that. So just give yourself grace, and really let kind of your kids, I don't want to say control and dictate this time, but if they don't want to do school, don't make them do school. If they don't want to read, don't make them read. It's not going to kill them. It's not going to kill you to watch a movie or something like that. So just give yourself grace, and if you need a break, take a break. It's really okay. I promise. So that kind of brings me to the last thing, and it's more of like, I don't know what I want to say. It's more of like a thing that I'm doing, and my husband and I have talked about this many times, and we feel that the best thing to do right now is to just protect our kids. And I say that for younger kids. I feel like as the older your kids get, the more that they're going to want to be informed. But the younger kids, I don't really think, one, can understand what's going on, and really probably can't grasp it even if we did try to explain it. And number two, what's happening right now is kind of scary. And so you don't want to put that on them either, because they're not ready for it. So one thing that I have taken a lot of intent and time to kind of figure out is how to navigate this whole thing without involving my kids. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you need to tell your kids the truth. They need to know what's going on. This is a historic time, They're living through like a world-changing event, and it's going to be in history books, and they're not going to know anything about it, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But and again, my kids are 6 and 4. So they don't need to know because they probably can't even understand what that means. So really, when we pray, we just pray for people who are sick and for protection and things like that. We don't go into specifics. We don't talk about it like as a big family, thing and watch the news every night. We really just kind of try and just put this huge cage around there. I don't want to say cage, that seems really harsh. Bubble, I guess. Bubbles are nice. We try to put this huge bubble around them so that they don't know what's happening. And I think for 2 reasons I do that. Number 1, again, I don't think that they can understand kind of what's going on because I just don't think they're mature enough for that. And number 2, they are not quite capable yet of understanding how to let God be God. And I'm saying that, and I'm not preaching, and I'm not saying you can't be scared or you can't be frightened, because I think that is a good physiological response to what's happening right now. But you can't let it consume you, and you can't let it rule every thought of every moment of your day. You can't sit there and watch the news for 24 hours straight, have it on in the background just so you can get saturated with this whole thing. And so to protect our kids from that is a good thing, because they can't distinguish between okay, I am scared and it is kind of a serious issue and it's probably going to get worse as people are not social distancing themselves the way that they're supposed to, but they don't know how to kind of just give it over to God and let it kind of just be on Him that we rely on, and Him that we gain our peace from, and things like that. And so I think until you can do that, I really don't think there's any point in sharing this experience with them. And again, I'm sure I'm going to get lots of backlash about that, and that's okay, because this is my, that's my thought. That's my belief, and you can believe whatever you want to, and that's okay too. That's kind of what we have the freedom in doing. So anyway, after this long-winded talk about homeschooling while quarantined, I am going to sign off now, and I just want to wish you guys a happy, good day. Try and get outside if you can, if it's super sunny and nice like it is here. We've been outside pretty much all day, and so that kind of makes things easier too. But try and get outside and try and give yourself some grace today. So to all homeschoolers and accidental homeschoolers, thank you for watching my video, and I will see you later. Bye.